Of course, also the Council of Ministers, I won't go into detail now, but this cooperation with the member states is absolutely essential for our work, and we will try to reinforce that cooperation in the future with the new strategy. We also believe that the social partners and that civil society has a very, very important role to play in the field of gender equality, and also, of course, the European Parliament. And we have a new actor here, the European Institute for Gender Equality. In this interplay, in this interinstitutional decision-making processes, the European Institute for Gender Equality will provide, will reinforce our expertise, will reinforce our knowledge base on gender equality, and will help the Commission, the member states, the other European institutions in their work on gender equality. So I'm very much looking forward to the cooperation with the Institute. I show you one last slide, promised. These are some of the reports the European Commission is producing, where you can find a lot of interesting figures, facts and figures that if you work in this area, I think can be very useful. I point out one report, which is our annual report on equality of women and men in the European Union, which has also a statistical annex that I believe, in all modesty, is very useful if you work in this field. I finish here. This is where you can get our publications. I thank you very much for your attention and your patience, and I'm ready and happy to answer your questions. Thank you. On the differences between the current roadmap and the next strategy, I would say that of course, gender equality is a long-term effort, I would say, and we see ourselves in continuity with the present roadmap for gender equality. We've carried out a very wide consultation of stakeholders on this new strategy. So we have asked civil society organizations, the social partners, the equality bodies in the member states, other agencies, member states, on what they think is important to cover in the new strategy. What are the new subjects to be covered in comparison to the roadmap? We've received a lot of interesting input, and there were some new subjects that emerged from these consultations, like, for example, the wish of many member states to see certain topics to be treated more than in the, more prominently maybe than in the past strategy. So just to give you an example, because it was mentioned also, multiple discrimination and intersectionality was one of these areas that were identified. The transition towards a greener economy, the role of women in the environment, for example, was another area that was highlighted. So we have several new topics that were identified by our stakeholders and that we will try to cover in the new strategy. We will also, of course, try to learn the lessons from what we've done in the past, you know, what has worked and what has not worked, and try to build on these build our new strategy on these experiences. The new strategy will, of course, also be, in a way, a continuity of our efforts from the past, trying to do things better and more efficiently, maybe in a more focused way, but I don't think it will be a radical change. It won't be a radical departure from the roadmap, for example. Why is equal economic independence separated from the pay gap? I would say we're really worried about the pay gap and the stubbornness, if you want, of the pay gap in Europe. And the reason why we treat it separately is really to show this concern and to underline this concern and to try to focus our action on the pay gap. But as I said, the pay gap is very complex, is a complex phenomenon, and of course it cannot be, if you want, it cannot be separated from what we do on women in the labor markets, because it's absolutely closely linked, the one and the other. The role of political parties in gender equality is, of course, crucial. We try to work closely with the European Parliament and the FAM committee, the committee for gender equality in the European Parliament. But of course, the role of political parties is essential. What does the fact that our commissioner is also responsible for judicial affairs and for fundamental rights, how does it affect our portfolio? I think that was the question. I think it will not substantially affect our portfolio. I think we will continue to work in very close cooperation with our colleagues working on labor market issues and on social affairs. The added value is definitely that we have maybe a closer link now to judicial affairs and also to the work done on gender-based violence. That's definitely an interesting feature, and we'll try to benefit from this new and closer link. Thank you.